Okay, drone equipment and maintenance. Now this topic is again a very important topic. This has two aspects. One is the theoretically we are trying to understand the drone equipment maintenance, and practically also we'll be seeing this topic again tomorrow and day after tomorrow also. Okay, so drone equipment maintenance will continue. This is not that you just learn once and forget it. Okay, so you have to apply it in on your day-to-day basis. Okay, the more you manage, more you maintain your drone, it will give you better performance and you will have a error-free flights or issue-free higher flights, I would say. Okay, or challenges would be less compared to if you do not maintain a proper. Like, it's like your normal bike or car also, right? You normally maintain your bike or car regularly, pani, water, oil, the brake lining, lights, all that things you manage, right? You take care of them properly. If you do things properly, like abhi rainy season chalu hone wala hai. So in rainy season, we'll normally put a cover on our handle and all the things. Seat cover, plastic cover डालेंगे, या फिर petrol tank पे you put some kind of a cover, so it's not affecting because of the rain, water, and all the things. Engine you will protect, all that things. So you need to take care of your equipment. Okay, so similarly, drone equipment also required a regular maintenance as well as long-term maintenance. For example, जैसे हम हमारा कार और बाइक regularly locally हम ही maintain करते, we only maintain it, right? We maintain it by day to day whatever it is, like air tire में air pressure proper होना चाहिए, like we see the brakes are working properly or not, oil, water, whatever basic things what we can do, that is our day to day maintenance. But on a longer term, like maybe 6 months, जैसे बाइक को अपन 6 months या 1 year period में सर्विसिंग करते हैं, कार को maybe 3 months, 6 months, or maybe depending upon how much we have driven. Okay, like if I have driven 50,000 kilometers for my car, I may go for a servicing, because before the next drive I am going to go, I will make sure that all things are proper. So I'll put the oil, change the water, all that things will be there, or maybe check the worn out of the tires and all, depending upon maybe I will alter my tires from left side, and diagonally will change the tires, that change normally do, so you don't see the pattern of worning out of the tires regularly and all the things. Lights, brake oil, engine oil, all these things will change. So similarly, when you're flying the drones over certain period, daily when you're flying the drone, every time you're taking a flight, you need to do some inspections. Okay, some monitoring you have to do. And when you are done certain number of flights or certain number of flying hours, you have to do a comprehensive maintenance. Okay, so when what to be done, that is what is going to talk about in this session. Okay, so drone equipment and maintenance. So why do we require a regular usage may result in wear and tear of UAV, thus requiring regular maintenance check. So if you are flying drone regularly for agriculture spraying, so every time it is spraying, right, that pesticide is spraying, so that there is a moisture in the air, and that moisture area only the drone is flying, so that most of the time that moisture will go inside the motors, the components, and all the things. So if when you land the drone, your job is first to get things clean, you have to wipe it clean, again resume the flying, like that. So if you take care of this, your drone will be in good condition. If you don't, like there I have seen people who are flying for almost continuous for a day, they are flying, but they don't take care of the drone. They keep on just pouring, changing the battery, they will keep on pouring the fertilizer, and they keep on flying because they want to do maximum acre in a day. Okay, so normally a person can fly a drone in agriculture segment for spraying. Normally it would somewhere around 12 to 15 acres. But to earn more money per day, people fly somewhere around 18 acres, 20 acres, 22 acres kind of. Even some people have flown 24 acres also. Okay, so they don't care about drone. They just keep on flying. Just change battery, drone land hua, battery nikala, battery change kiya, fertilizer pour kiya. That's it. Fly, resume. Because you don't need to fly also. You just have, it is all automated. Just fly. So that minimum, like जैसे हम लोग Formula 1 में देखा रहेगा, right? The more amount you stop at the pit stop, that is you're losing the race, right? So normally what now? Earlier it was somewhere around, even sometimes it was 1 or 2 minutes people used to stop in the pit stop. That has now reduced to almost 1 second, 1 or 2 seconds. The car literally comes, stops, and in that 2 seconds everything happens, right from changing the tire to fueling, everything happens in that 2 seconds, and the car is back again on the track. So that is how. But then, see, in this scenario, you may not doing things properly. Okay, probably it may be giving. See, until see the Formula One has that kind of people and resources over there. You know, every tire there is one. There are every to change every tire. There are two people. Okay, so one person is ready with holding the tire. The next person just pull the tire, and he puts the second tire. That's it. So that is possible in 1 or 2 seconds. So four tires, eight people are there. One person or two-person who is holding with the that fuel, you know, that big can of fuel is there. वो just hold करा ready करता है, टक 1 सेकंड 2 सेकंड में जितना fuel pump हो सकता है, that goes into the fuel, or whatever other changes or other things parameters they need to do. So in that 1 or 2 seconds they get the thing. So there are people resources available there to take care of all those things. Some may take more longer period also, maybe 4-5 seconds also there, or the 7 seconds also there. But in drone, that is not possible. You as a pilot, you are doing everything. If you are not taking care of your drone and regular, so I have seen those agriculture drones which where you have not taken the care over the period of time, you know, maybe continuous flying, and they ignore this structural inspections or issues and all that things. Over the period of time, after 1 month or 2 months, 100% those drones has given some problems, or those drones are crashed also. I've seen that also. Okay, practically I've seen last year these operations. Last year I was too much of involved into the drone spraying activities in a area like Ahmednagar, Dhule, all those locations. So I've seen sometimes drone getting crashed also. So you know, I was just a passive observer at that point in time. So I could not really give some kind of a guidelines or something, but I was just seeing the activity, or I was seeing the operational activities for some other vendor for it. Okay, so I was not directly involved in any kind of a decision making or instructional kind of thing. So I was just there as an observer. Okay, I was there to study how actually this particular segment can be developed, or you know, how it is viable from a business standpoint, or how it was operationally we can make it more efficient. What people's were doing, what are the do's and don'ts, like as I told you, like, you know, you need to clean it. It may take a 2 minutes just to wipe out that moisture on the arms, on the propellers, on the motor, you know, on the body, all that things. You can just, it will just take a 2 minutes max. The moment you are changing the battery, for changing a battery it takes almost 5 minutes. So within that 5 minutes, if somebody is utilizing that 5 minutes for changing battery, at the same time you can wipe out that moisture on the road. So regular usage may result in wear and tear of you, thus require a regular maintenance check. Comprehensive maintenance has to be performed after every 200 flight, or maybe 50 flights per hour. Now this is very subjective. Okay, it depends upon drone to drone what is that your OEM is talking about, whether it is 200 flight or 50 flights, or maybe 100 flights and 25 flight hours, or maybe 100 flights or 50 flights per hour. Okay, so it depends upon whatever it is, whether you have taken 200 times up and down, or you have flown for 50 hours or 25 hours. It depends subjective to drone and OEM to OEM what guidelines they have set. Whatever the guidelines given by the OEM, you have to follow that. Okay, so in our case for agriculture drone, it is 200 flights or 50 flight hours, whichever is more or higher you have to do. If you do 200 flights and not 50 hours, then even though you have done 200, you have to do comprehensive. If you have not done 200 flights but you have done 50 flight hours, even in that scenario you have to do comprehensive maintenance. Then every time you fly the drone, you need to follow something called as pre-flight checks. Every time you have flown and you land the drone, you have to do post-flight. Okay, so maintenance checklist and manuals with the standard operating procedures you have to follow with respect to OEM standards. Okay, so OEM will give you maintenance checklist, and within the manuals there will be a maintenance checklist, or standard operating procedures would be defined in the manuals. So you have to refer those manuals. DJI drone use got to refer DJI drones the manuals. If you are using Parrot or Autel or Skydio drones, or whosoever it is, whether even local made, like it could be Asteria, IdeaForge, or Surivan, or maybe Garuda, any of these local who makes their drones, you have to follow their manuals for the maintenance checklist and the guidelines specified in those manuals. Okay, so they would have been defining the comprehensive maintenance, when what to be performed, what checklist to be formed, what logbook to be used. All that thing will be there in the manual. So you have to use those manuals. You have to read those manuals. Like a lot of time when we purchase any equipment, like whether it's a vacuum cleaner or maybe washing machine, fridge, television, mixer for our whole household, normally we never read the manuals. We leave it like that. Even a lot of people don't do that warranty part, what you need to do on online. You know, you have to register when you have purchased this equipment. You only realize when things goes problematic. Okay, that is the time when you sorry, I forgot to register the warranty. Then you call up, but then still they give you the service because you have done the purchase. Okay, so they will ask you the number, this, when you did the purchase, please send the invoice copy. All that thing will deal, and they will at that point in time they will document and they'll record it. Okay, but that time, till that time, you would have not. There might be something like servicing part is there, like in washing machine. Normally, when you purchase a washing machine, first month you have to do, within a month you have to do the first servicing. Okay, so that the person technician will come from the company. He will come and check, like last 1 month you have utilized the machine, how is the performance, what if there is any change where. So they, for their learning also, and just to make sure that the machine what you have purchased gives you better service, it doesn't encounter some kind of a problem. That's why this first month service is there. Then next service maybe after 3 months, or maybe after 6 months kind of thing. So similarly car में भी, like हम car purchase करते तो first car लेते तो 1 month में they immediately they tell you to come for a first servicing, or maybe 1,000 kilometers, right, or maybe 100 kilometers only, just 100 kilometers drive किया, या फिर 1 month आपका सर्विसिंग 1 month हो गया, just bring the car for servicing, first servicing. After that maybe next servicing maybe after 3 months or 6 months. Okay, so they want to say that new car which is on the road, they want to see if first 100 kilometers or 1,000 kilometers it has been driven, or maybe 1 month period has passed, is there any kind of a wear tear, or maybe. So that's the learning for them also, or if any there is a problem or anything, it can be rectified from a bigger problem. Okay, so that it may create a brand image problems also for them. Like, you will only say मैंने नया car खरीदा and it gave me such problem. So they are also worried about. So that's why that first 1 month service is immediately required. Sometimes you get a call from the service center itself that if you are not reached maybe 1,000 kilometers something, they will say okay, you may be completing your 1 month of your car purchase, so you may have to bring your car for servicing, first servicing. Okay, they will just remind you. Okay, but not after that, they will never remind you. Okay, then it is all up to you. You have to bring 3 mahina या 6 mahina, whatever period it is all up to you. So every time you are driving a car or bike, you normally check, right, tire में pressure है नहीं, proper everything is there or not. You, like especially in the monsoon, you will check the wipers, whether wiper blades are proper or not. Sometimes because of the sun and all the thing, wiper blades become very hard. So maybe before monsoon starts, you have to change those wiper blades because they are made of graphite. Okay, graphite का होता है तो वो थोड़ा hard हो जाता है after the period as it is exposed to the sunlight. The graphite का जो rubber होता है, that becomes hard. So when you use that wiper in rainy season, what happens? It creates scratches. It's not that smooth as rubbery. Okay, वो harden हो जाता है तो वो scratch हो जाता है. So you should change. So this is what is your maintenance part. So same is applicable for your drone also. Okay, so you need to make sure that you do the first is the structural inspections you need to do of the drones. So what is the structural inspection? Clean the airframe for mud or dirt, inspect the airframe for cracks, check for any loose screws, check for propeller for damages, propeller for free spinning, check motor for debris and obstruction, check the status of wiring, solder joints. Like अभी recently हम लोग एक testing drone, we made one micro drone and we were testing it. So on the flight, fly हुआ, वो landing के time पे land हुआ, but it toppled out. Okay, and that point in time, the connection which was soldered for a battery, वो connection निकल गया. So the person saw that battery का power चला गया after the landing. We tried to remove the connector back and put it back. Again, the power is not coming. Then we saw that the soldering has soldering निकल गया. Solder was disconnected. So maybe अपने को वापस solder करना पड़ेगा. So sometimes there are some wires which are soldered. Okay, especially the power points from the battery which goes to the power distribution board. वहाँ पे solder manual solder किया हुआ रहता है. Okay, they are not been fixed by screws or something like that. They have been soldered. तो over the period of times कभी कभी वो solder dry हो जाता है, तो निकल जाता है या break हो जाता है. Okay, so we need to see that, check those points also. Check the gimbal, camera lens is clean and all the things. So whatever is there needs to be checked. You need to. A lot of people fly करते हैं, पता चलता है ऊपर जाने के बाद gimbal is not taking the signal or gimbal is not moving. So when it is on the ground, you need to check all these aspects. Okay, the आपका motor propeller घूम रहा है, frame बराबर है, everything. So landing gear condition, inspect the antennas, check the control station for any faulty component. So this structural inspection is the first thing what you check when the drone is on the ground. When you bring your drone from store and outside in the ground for flying, first thing you need to do is this structural inspection. Okay, so right from the frame to propellers to motors to the landing gears to the connections to the joints, every aspect of your drone frame you need to verify and check and confirm that everything is good. That means you are making sure your drone is completely proper. Next is the check. What you normally do is like battery, check the battery connections, battery status, whether battery is 100% charge. Always you should use 100% charge, good batteries. Okay, you should inspect the battery for any kind of a bulge or leakages. अगर आपका bulge रहेगा, leakage हो रहा होगा, तो you should remove the battery. You should always use the charged batteries. You should never use like 50% charge है, 20% charge है, minimum charge batteries कभी नहीं use करें. You should always use 100% charge battery so that you get a proper flight for longer period of time. अगर कम चार्ज रहेगा तो क्या होगा, आपका जो नॉर्मल फुल 100% में 10 मिनट्स मिल रहा है, अगर मेरे 50% चार्ज रहेगा तो आई विल ओनली गेट 5 मिनट्स फ्लाइट. तो द मोमेंट आई टेक ऑफ विद इन 5 मिनट्स आई हैव टू लैंड द ड्रोन अगेन. ओके, क्योंकि उसमें अगर थ्रेशोल्ड भी सेट होगा, ओके 50% है और 25% पे थ्रेशोल्ड आपका सेट है, तो यू विल नॉट गेट 5 मिनट्स, यू विल गेट ओनली 2 to 3 मिनट्स ऑफ फ्लाइट ओनली. तो मैक्सिमम जो आपको फ्लाइट मिलना चाहिए था, दैट यू विल नॉट गेट इट. So it is always advisable whenever you take off the drone, make sure that you are using 100% charge batteries. Okay, so when we are flying our agriculture drones also for training purpose also, we'll be using always 100% charge batteries. So our day 3 activity, that is tomorrow activity, end of the day of the activity, will be making sure we are charging all the batteries and keeping them ready for our day 4 activity. ओके, सो डे 4 में मॉर्निंग में हम लोग फ्लाइट करेंगे. मॉर्निंग में फ्लाइट होने के बाद बैटरी डिस्चार्ज हुआ रहेगा. सो अगेन व्हेन वी कम बैक फॉर लंच, फर्स्ट थिंग बिफोर गोइंग फॉर लंच विल बी दैट विल सेटिंग द ड्रोन्स, विल बी सेटिंग द बैटरीज फॉर चार्जिंग, बिकॉज अगेन इन द इवनिंग विल बी फ्लाइंग. सो फॉर बिफोर इवनिंग सेशन विल मेक श्योर दैट बैटरीज आर बीइंग चार्ज्ड. आफ्टर द इवनिंग सेशन अगेन विल चार्ज द बैटरी इन द लेट इवनिंग. ओके, बिफोर वी गो फॉर डिनर, so we'll charge the battery, so we'll keep them ready for day 5 also. So like this you should keep your battery cycle charged, and that also you have to follow the sequence. You have to make sure that you are following the cycle. बैटरी 1 यूज किया, फिर बैटरी 2 यूज किया, फिर बैटरी 3 यूज किया. ऐसे नहीं कि बैटरी 1 यूज किया, 3 बीच में डाला, फिर 2 यूज किया, फिर 1 यूज किया, फिर 3 डाला. Randomly you should not use. That's why the batteries are also numbered. Lot of time people have a habit, like हम लोग तो DSLR cameras use करते हैं, तो sometimes multiple batteries हम लोग use करते हैं. So we may have 1 or 2 or 3 batteries. So normally if you do not use numbering on the batteries, you do not know which battery you have used what time. If you number them and you are following a sequence, every battery will be utilized. नहीं तो कभी कभी क्या होता है, 3 बैटरी में 2 बैटरी मैक्सिमम यूटिलाइज होता है, तीसरा बैटरी कभी यूज नहीं होता है, या you do not know whether when you are using it. So it is always advisable to number the battery, or you may have some indication, maybe A B C D आप कर सकते हो, या 1 2 3 रख सकते हो, या B1 B2 B3 B4 रख सकते हो. Whatever you need to have a identification to identify which battery was used when. That is what's the idea. Okay, so that is how you should follow the battery logs also. So you need to maintain as a drone pilot, you need to maintain a battery log also, where you keep a track of all the usage of your batteries. Okay, then software firmware, if in case the OEM suggests you to upgrade your software and the firmware of your drone, you should make sure that you are updated. Like in DJI there is always a guidelines being provided that okay, new firmware or the new software is been available, you can download and install or upgrade your drone for the best performance. Okay, and whenever you are completing any kind of a maintenance activity, you are changing the component, you may be changing the batteries or replacing the battery, removing the old battery, putting the new battery, changing the firmware, upgrading the software, all the things you should keep a track. You should maintain a report. Okay, so and so date I have changed the propeller, so and so date I have changed the motor, so and so date I have changed the for example batteries. Okay, whatever you do, change the landing gear change kiya, pop top cover change kar diya, GPS model, any change you do, you should keep a track. Any updation you do, like software apne X version se Y version pe aa gaye, so you should keep a track, you should maintain a report. That is how. See, normally nowadays you are using a small DJI drone, so normally people don't care much about such things. Okay, but tomorrow when you are making flying bigger drones, okay, enterprise level drones, you are flying drones for agriculture, surveillance, monitoring, or delivery, or maybe drone taxi kind of environment also. There, these things will become very, very important. Okay, you need to maintain all these logs, maintenance cycle, all that things will come into the picture. Okay, that's why this is an important topic, because the more better take care you do of your drone, it will give you longer and better performance as well as safe performance. Okay, so what is you need to do as a structural inspection? Clean airframe for mud and dirt. So normally use anti-static cloth, cleaning brush, or maybe a compressed air canister, or maybe a blower also you can use, or anti-static wristband also. You need to make sure if you are dealing with some kind of electronic devices or electronic components, like if I want to solder, so that point in time I may have to use anti-static band, because I will be actually touching the electric points or controls over there. So in that scenario I have to use anti-static wristband. Similarly, isopropyl alcohol is also required. If there is a dust inside the motor or thing, you need to dip that motor in the isopropyl alcohol for maybe 24 hours, and then you have to take it out and dry it for 6 hours, and then probably you have to use antiseptic bags for another 6 hours to make sure that it is completely moisture free. Okay, clean, and then you check whether motor is clean and giving you error free or scratch free operations. Then only you should put back that motor. If that motor is continuing with the same problem, again you can open that motor and clean it internally also, but then you need to be authorized for doing that, or you may be trained for that activity. Then only you should do it. If you are not aware of that, you should always log a case or call for a technician for help. Okay, so check for airframe for any crash. So even the smallest, this is the important statement, even the smallest crack can cause the critical problem if left unnoticed. In the aviation world, we have seen lot of crashes happen because people have ignored small errors, small crash, like दो रिवेट नहीं था. Okay, so they बोले दो रिवेट से क्या होगा, पूरा एरोप्लेन तो क्रैश नहीं होगा. But over after couple of flights, that 2 rivets has become so problematic that it has crashed the aeroplane, caused the crash in the aeroplane. Okay, so you cannot ignore even the smallest problems or smallest crack. If you see that, you should document and get that rectified. That is what the procedure followed in the aviation world. The same is applicable in the drone world also. Okay, so it clearly says the smallest crack can cause critical problem if unnoticed. Maybe that point in time you will not have a problem, but over the long period of operations, that small problem can become big, okay, and lead to crash of your drone. So you have to take timely action. Okay, so it's not only about documentation, but you have to take timely action and you rectify that problem. Okay, if you do not rectify, you will lead to later on bigger problems. Okay, so again, if there are loose screws, nut bolts, you should tighten them properly. But don't over tight them. Okay, which do not over tighten. This can lead to even excessive strain on joints or do even more damage. You can see here, right? Because of the over tightening of this particular, there is a crack in the structure over here, right? So you can see it very clearly. So never over tight it. You just as much is what is minimum, bare minimum required is there. Okay, so do that. Then structural inspection for propellers. Okay, because that is the thing which is moving. Okay, which is subject to stress. Propellers are the only component on the drone which is subject to the bigger stress or maximum amount of stress. So probably they will become dirty, they will be chipped, they will be cracked. If you find this kind of propellers, you should always change it immediately, and that change also has to happen with right now. अगर clockwise propeller change कर रहे हो तो you have to replace with the clockwise propeller only. अगर counter clockwise वाला change कर रहे हो तो counter clockwise वाला ही propeller आपको replace करना है. Okay, so when you are removing, you need to make sure that which propeller you are removing it. Accordingly, the same type of propeller you should replace. Okay, after replacing, again check for physical smooth spinning of propellers and then take a test flight. Okay, that is what is the procedure followed. Okay, then joints, as I give an example about the joint at the power where power connectors are connected, like you can see here in the picture, right? This is a power connector for the battery. So normally sometimes this, because we are manually soldering it, this is not machine solder, this is a normal hand solder. So a lot of time our hand solder is not that great or not that good. Over the period time it becomes dry or it becomes loose. Okay, so we may have to resolder it back. So or maybe sometimes it breaks, so we have to maybe clean the wire properly, and a lot of time oxidization also happen because it is subject to the open air. Okay, so in that scenario also we need to clean that area properly, and there are solutions which applied on those locations where it cleans all that oxidization or that rusty part what is there, it is been cleaned, or you may have to scrap it by using a sharp object, and then you resolder back to that. Okay, again I told you the motor, like if your motor is not been cleaned at dipping inside the isopropyl alcohol and you need to open the motor, so you need to see whether you know how to open it. If you are not aware about how to open it, you should not do, you should get it to the authorized person or the servician or a technician who is knowing about this activity, and get it done from him only. Okay, if you are aware and you know how to do it, then you can go ahead and do it, but you have to follow what is the guidelines given by the OEM again. Same goes for the camera, gimbal, landing gear. Okay, some landing gears are spring loaded, some landing gears are even hydraulic, small hydraulics, what you use in kitchen trolleys or kitchen doors, cabinet doors, you normally use hydraulics, right? Hydraulic pumps are the smaller one. Same type of hydraulic pumps are available for drone landing gears also. So it gives a better cushioning when it is landing or bumpy area में अगर land हो रहा है तो in that scenario, या terrain जैसा मतलब when you go agriculture segment में in the farms, the area is not plain or leveled. Okay, so थोड़ा सा bump हो सकता है या थोड़ा सा ऊपर नीचे हो सकता है. So in that scenario, we normally use hydraulic landing gears also, or spring-loaded landing gears also. So we have to take care that time. Maybe hydraulic है तो hydraulic oil है, so that oil maybe has to be replaced, or hydraulic maybe has to change. और spring है तो थोड़ा उसमें W42, W40 या maybe some oil is required to be put, maybe machine oil or something. So it is smoothly functioning. Okay, because these springs are made of iron. Okay, they are not a steel made, they are normally made of iron. So lot of time because of the moisture and all those things over the period time, they also get rusted. So you need to sometimes even you need to open these and get them cleaned also thoroughly. Okay, you may have to dip in a machine oil, or maybe in isopropyl alcohol also, or maybe very crude solution. Lot of people I have seen, they are removing these springs and keeping it dipped for maybe 1 or 2 hours in Pepsi. Okay, Pepsi से भी अच्छा तरह से clean हो जाता है. I have seen people doing that. Okay, so because it's a iron, that's why they normally do. Okay, then again your remote control and all the thing, if there is a breakage in antenna or anything, you find any problem, like one of my controller is giving problem, so I have to give it for servicing. Okay, so uska jo joystick hai, it is not moving properly or smoothly, so I have to give it for servicing. So if you find any problem with even the control stations, especially the remote control, ground control station, antennas, anything components which are external or which are outside the main structure, those are subject to some kind of a stress or something. एक बार somebody guy dropped my remote control, okay, which broke the antenna, so I have to get that antenna replaced. Okay, because it was broken, so I have to get that antenna replaced. So you should not leave like that. Okay, broken है ऐसे ही लगा के रख दिया चलेगा, it's just antenna है. but it will create a lot of loss. I mean, we are seeing the loss of signal. Okay, the drone was not functioning smoothly as I was giving the control. So later on we found that there is a problem with the antenna, and we replaced that antenna. It was perfectly working fine after replacement of the new antenna. Okay, so there was a cut, there was a breakage in the wire inside the antenna itself. ऊपर से antenna just ऊपर का structure break हुआ लगा, but that breakage of the structure has broke the internal cable also. Okay, so that cable was very much on a very thin layer it was lying. So कभी कभी connection हो रहा था, कभी कभी connection नहीं हो रहा था. So because of that I was losing signal. So once we removed that antenna and put a new proper antenna, it was functioning proper. Okay, again I talked about battery check, lot of time, even the chargers. Okay, the charger initially जब आप लाते हो, नया drone है, नया even mobile में भी, initially when you purchase the new mobile, it comes with a charger. That new charger works perfectly fine for maybe 6 months, down 1 year, but after 1 year it will start giving problem. It may not be charging as efficiently as it was charging earlier. So that point in time you may have, because that will also impact your battery charging time and cycle also. So in that case, if your charger is giving problem, use a new charger or replace your charger. If your charger may be good, but sometimes your batteries are bad. So batteries normally what we charge, it takes approximately 1 hour. But if I find that even after 2 hours of charging, my battery is not charging 100%. So either it could be my charger problem or it could be my battery problem. But if I'm charging multiple batteries with that same charger, and rest of all other batteries are charging properly and only one battery is not charging, then I can suspect that that particular battery is having a problem. So maybe I have to discard that battery itself, or maybe I have to try charging that battery on a different charger and see whether it is having same problem or not. If it is giving the same problem, then I am 100% sure that this battery is problem. I have to discard it from the operation and replace it with a new set of battery. Okay, so that is what I need to take care. Okay, so again it talks about if you see the battery physically, swollen, bulge, leakages, all that things you see, you should discard it. So whenever you are using a battery, you should measure the voltage. So I will be showing you practically how to measure the voltage of 6 cell batteries also. Okay, so there is a voltage tester is available in our store. We'll be using that voltage tester and seeing that difference in the voltages also on different cells also. If the voltage cells between the two cells is differed by more than 2.2 volts, even that type of battery we should not use. We should charge it. हमको charge दिख रहा है, but if there is a difference in the cell voltages by 0.2 volts also, in that scenario also we should replace. I mean, we should charge that battery again. Maybe charging proper नहीं हुआ रहेगा या something right रहेगा, या maybe one out of 6 cells, one cell may not have been charged properly. So you may have to charge it again properly and then use the battery. Don't use नहीं तो क्या होगा, आपका battery कम दिखाएगा and then it will drastically discharge faster. Okay, so you have to take care of this. Again, we talked about software, firmware, update the drone firmware as well. In type certified drone, DGCI doesn't suggest you to update the drone firmware or software. They don't say, because that the software what is been certified during the type certification case, that is the only software or the firmware you have to continually use it. Okay, until unless you get a bigger problem and the OEM certifies and says that yes, there is a problem and we need to upgrade it. They have to take in writing from DGCA, and then only you are allowed. I mean, you are not allowed to do this thing. The OEM will come and they will send the engineer to do all this activity. Okay, you will not be allowed to do it on this because you will not have access to do it. Okay, this requires admin access to the drones. Okay, but in DJI drones, third party drones, you can do it yourself. Okay, so same goes for control station software also. As on when required, you should update. So when should you do servicing? So every service, like I said, 200 cycles, 20 hours, 50 hours, whatever is defined in your manual, according to your manual, you should do the servicing. Okay, so if you want to do servicing for airframe, अगर आपका airframe में कोई damage हो गया, so you may have to completely dismantle your drone. So you should be knowing how to dismantle and put it back. If you do not know, please don't do these things. Okay, you should take it to the experienced person or the technicians or engineer, or you may have to log a case with the OEM accordingly to get these things done. Lot of people, drone DJI drone भी खोलते हैं and then later on they do not know how to fix it back. Okay, and when they are fixing it back, they break, या कहीं पे क्रैक आ जाता है, कहीं पे गलती से रॉन्ग लगा देते हैं, and all that, you know, a lot of people randomly get into this kind of problems. Okay, so if you are not aware, don't do it. Same thing goes for propellers and motors also. Like, you know, in case you want to change a propeller, you want to change a motor, okay, you should change right type of motor, right type of propeller, and make sure that you are using good components. Okay, remove any problematic propellers or motors, because those are the two important components which result in your flight. Okay, if these two things are not functioning properly, it will give you unstable flight or maybe problematic flight, or may crash your drone also. Okay, so this motor and the propeller, you should not compromise, or you should not take assumptions over there. If you feel that you need to change it, you need to change it. Okay, so I will show you practically also some examples, you know, when we go to store also. Okay, then even gimbal also, like lot of time over the period time you fly, as it is subject to wind, subject to dirt, dust, all that things, even your gimbal gives problem. You know, sometimes gimbal smooth movement नहीं कर रहा, pan and tilt proper नहीं हो रहा है, so it needs maintenance. You need to service it. You may have to remove the gimbal from the camera, service it properly. Maybe, you know, the motor might require some kind of oiling, or maybe some treatment needs to be done as per the manual what specified for gimbal maintenance. So you may have to go through that gimbals, because a lot of time gimbals are also very expensive component of the drone, or even the cameras. Like you see here, the gimbal is holding a multi-spectral camera. This camera itself will cost you around 4 to 6 lakh rupees. Okay, so you need to know how to service this camera, or how to take care of this camera. Okay, so this is very expensive camera over here. Okay, if you are not aware of how to do servicing, don't do it. You should always take it to the service center for servicing it, this kind of components also. Okay, then landing gear, of course, that is also subject to lot of stress, because every time you take off the drone, it lands on the landing gear, so it is always getting that bump or that hit of the, you know, it is landing. Okay, touchdown जब हो रहा है, so that, or sometimes movable landing gears, so that like DJI Inspire में the landing gear ऐसे नीचे रहता है, so as it flies it goes up. Okay, it goes up, so you have complete 360-degree view of the area over there. Okay, so this is basically the DJI Inspire drone is basically for the cinematographers only. Okay, designed for cinematographer activities and all this, so that's why they need a 360-degree shot. Okay, so that drone landing gear doesn't come in the video, so that's mechanical structure is there. Okay? It goes up and down, so over the period of time वो भी कभी worn out हो जाता है. You may have to change the bearing, you have to change the spring, there is a spring, there is a swivel motion is there, so all whatever is there based on the mechanism, you have to take care over the period of time. You have to service your landing gear. If it is physical है, fixed है, so a lot of time it is under the stress, bend हो सकता है, broke हो सकता है, broken हो सकता है, crack हो सकता है. In that scenario, you should replace them with a proper alignment. Okay, you need to see the leveling also. You know, a lot of people just क्या निकालते और लगाते, but you have to see the level. जब वो proper level ground पे drone proper रख के, you have to see the level of your drone also. ऐसा नहीं कि drone रखा है level ground पे और drone your is bent on one side. So that will also cause a problem during the flight. अगर आपका flight fast नहीं हुआ और ऐसे tilted रहेगा, like suppose ऐसा रहेगा, ऐसा drone है, tilted है, okay, और आप flight ले, तो क्या होगा, कभी-कभी drone ऐसा tip off हो जाता है. Okay, rather it going up, what happens? It tips off, and that can result in a disaster. Okay, so you have to take care. Your drone has to be perfectly parallel to the ground. Okay, perfect होना चाहिए, tilt नहीं होना चाहिए. Like normally when we are doing our flying sessions also, we will see that अगर कोई छोटा मोटा stone भी रहा ना, तो we will remove that stone from the below the landing gear and throw it. थोड़ा दूर फेंक देंगे. Okay, so we try to see, because our flying ground is also currently a barren ground. We have still not created the ports. Okay, drone ports or vertiports, because we still have to get the approvals to do the constructions on our ground. Okay, we are applied. There is some issue going on. But as we get the approvals, we may be creating a proper surface areas. Maybe a soft landing pads would be there fitted, so that your drone doesn't hit hard on the ground. Okay, there will be soft landing pads will be used for landing purposes also. Okay, as of now we are just landing on a barren land only, so it is subject to, like you will see when your drone is coming down, it is little bit like this, bump होता है, थोड़ा सा bump होता है, very minor, it is okay. But if you put a landing, like normally my landing gear has a rubber matting, rubber rolls are there. Okay, so that is actually taking up that shock. So that is okay for me as of now for it. If I add a landing mat or pad also, then it will add more stability to my drone when it is landing. So that is how you take care more about your drones. Okay. So camera we talked about, you need to make sure that whatever camera you have on the drone, you service it. Lot of time the cameras also over the subject period because of the air, moisture, dirt, all that also gives the problem. So clean the lenses, clean the things, test your gimbal and camera before the flight. Lot of people make a mistake after servicing, doing the servicing or replacement, they don't test or they don't calibrate the gimbal also, or a flight lete, and then they realize, "Arey, I have not calibrated the gimbal, or I have not calibrated the gimbal along with the camera." Okay, so all these things needs to be done before the flight, and then only the flight taken has to be. कभी कभी तो लोग बेसिक चीजें कैमरा के आगे लेंस के आगे कवर भी रहता है, they forget to remove the cover. Again land the drone, remove the cover and then fly. You know, lot of times happens this also. So you need to be having a checklist. If you're doing something, even कैमरा का कवर निकलना है तो निकलना है, you have to write that. Okay, you have to write that in a checklist and you have to go through that checklist. You see the aeroplane pilots, when they are flying, before the flight, after the flight, during the flight, they will always refer to the checklist. They will always trust the documentation. Nothing else. Nothing in the head. You will always test. You will always have a manual. You will always have a checklist. You will follow it. Okay, read one line by line. Point number one, point number two. Don't skip. Also, you should not skip the points. Also, you should keep on reading it. Okay. So with that, we have completed the drone equipment maintenance. So any questions so far? So this topic from a theoretical perspective, it ends over here, but it will continue during our practice. So we will be talking more about this during our practice also. Okay. So any questions, Darsh? Are there any questions? Anything you want to add? You feel that which I would have missed in my topic, which I should have considered? Anything like that? Yes, Darsh?
Sir, when it goes up, like you said, it has to be in proper level. So this is only considered for the takeoff, or like, because once it goes up, it can even turn, right? So then, like I said,
but I got it. What you're trying to say. See, ideally, understand one thing. When your drone is on the ground, it is stable position, right? You have to make sure it is on a level ground. First thing, okay. When it is in the air, okay, it is at considerable height of 4 feet or 4 meters, 4 to 5 meters के height पे. That is where your drone is the most safest. Okay. Nothing will happen to a drone until unless turbulence आया, wind आया, air आया, water आया, rain आया. All that is a subjective, okay. But if it is everything is okay, your drone at 4 meters or 5 meters is as most the safest. Okay. कुछ नहीं होगा, आप रिमोट भी रख दोगे ना तो कुछ नहीं होगा. बैटरी डाउन होगा तो क्या होगा? ऑटोमेटिक लैंडिंग हो जाएगा उसका. Nothing will happen to the drone. Okay. But on when it is coming at the landing position, if the land is not proper, tilted है, land पे बहुत सारे stones है, all that thing, so it is risky to land. So you have to make sure that you land the drone at a proper, basic bare minimum level ground होना चाहिए. Okay, that is what you need to take care. Understood? So drone is more safer in the air, not on the, I mean ground पे तो normal not operational रहेगा तो safe ही है. But when it is, but it as comes closer to the ground, like if it is this ground is there, and so you will see when it is coming very close to air, the gravity is pulling, and the propeller is trying to maintain its height. So that push and pull is happening. So that is the moment where it's very tricky. So landing is very tricky over here. So that's why when we are landing the drone, we'll normally use automated functions. Okay, either land or RTL. Okay, so we need to practice emergency situations also. That's why we'll be always practicing our landing using RTL. So safest motion, safest landing of your drone is always use your RTL or land option. Okay, let the system do it on its own. You don't do landing manually. Okay, it's a risky. So earlier in DJI drones also, they were allowing you to land the drone manually, because a lot of people used to hold it in a hand or maybe landing because it's a small device. But recently, even DJI has updated their software, and there is a button which is available on the screen saying RTL. You just click on that button, the drone will automatically land on its own. So that is an emergency procedure what you need to follow. So automatic landing is always the safest option for your DO, because that is where your drone getting crashed or damage happening to the drone is more prone. So you should always try to reduce, as a sensible or responsible drone pilot, your job is to make sure that you are reducing the risk. Okay, we'll see that in emergency procedures also, risk items, risk analysis. There is a next topic. Okay, after the lunch we will be doing the risk analysis and all that things. So you have to reduce your risk of your drone, reduce the risk of your crash of your drone. So how you can reduce? So by automatic signals. Even you have an option for takeoff, but takeoff is little bit less riskier, because here you are just from ground you are taking off. Okay, automatic takeoff also happens when you do missions, okay, or automated missions, where you just say execute, automatically it will take off, it will do its mission, and automatically after completing the mission it will come back and land on its position. So there you are not intervening anything, it is completely automated activity. Okay, so that is why, like in agriculture, when we are doing for spraying, we do normally automated missions, we don't fly manually, because possibly every farm is a unique farm, different farm. I do not know वो फार्म में अगर मैं इसे ड्रोन फ्लाई कर रहा हूँ, मेरे को पता चला रहा है उधर पावर लाइन टावर है, इलेक्ट्रिकल वायर्स है, ट्री है, बुशेस है, वेल है, हाउस है, all that things could be, these are all obstacles for me. I do not know the layout of the ground. So it is always preferred that I will prepare a layout of the ground in the software and define the obstacles, define the hazards, define the issues what could come, and I will avoid my drone going to those areas. Okay, so I will be defining those the boundaries and all the things, and accordingly I will preparing a plan for flight in that field, and then only I will be flying the drone, and then I have to keep monitoring it. In case I find my drone may be encountered into some problem, I may have to pause. So when I say pause, my drone will start hovering at that particular position only. Okay, maybe at that point in time I have to trigger RTL also. I may have to call back the drone back. I may have to correct my mission plan again, and then I may have to give a resume action. Okay, so that is how I should fly my drone, even in automated mission also. It's not that the automated है तो मैंने छोड़ दिया. As a responsible pilot, you are always pilot in command. Though it is automatically happening, you have to take care of your drone also. Even though you are remotely monitoring, remotely doing activities, you have to continuously pay attention on your drone operations. Okay, so that is what is it. So any further questions, or we are good to go for a break?
Good.
Okay, so after 1 hour, that is 2:30, we'll come back and start with the topic on emergency handling, risk analysis and emergency handling topic. Okay, so we are now left out with only 3 topics, I think, which will be covered within the time frame today. Though yesterday we overshooted by almost 45 minutes. Okay, but then yesterday topics were a little bit lengthy, and we needed that much time to be given. Okay, so normally I don't follow a general time. Wherever if it overshoots the time, I don't matter, going. Like even today, we were supposed to complete the risk topic by now also. Okay, but we have just completed 2 topics now. But no worries, we will be completing, because last 2 topics are not much bigger or not much to talk about. They are just an overview or introduction to the topics. Okay, so now only the important topic is about emergency handling, which will start at 2:30. Okay, so thank you, and let's come back at 2:30 back. Okay, I'll be disconnecting, and we can connect back at 2:30. Okay.